And all these players here looking for an opportunity to try and qualify for Gamers 8. Here at Gamers Without Borders, we still have plenty of opportunities left to go. 4, in fact, here for this bracket, as now we go on to another elimination match for our best of 3. Joining me to my left-hand side to get things going is Piggly Wiggly and Ben. Whoa, you guys had a stonker of a match here previously. Thank God you did, because yesterday it was a little bit all over the place, a bit topsy-turvy pig, but what do you think of that match? It was a little bit of heartbreak, as I mentioned, for Gumiho, but great performance by Bunny.
I mean, what a great comeback in game 2 from Gumiho. You know, it looked like he was going to be down and out, but he bomby knocked him out of there with that counter drop, didn't he?
You're trying. You're reaching. I'm going to be a Bobby knocker. All right, you know, it was close. It was good. It was
Being around you, James, you have an influence. I get excited. Sorry, I want to join you British boys. I've got a British boy on my left, a British boy on my right. I want to, you know, I got to learn your language.
Yeah. It's. What did you think of that, Ben? Did you think a Bobby knocker was the way to go, or?
I mean, Gumiho was proper slobby walking all over the shop, wasn't he? Like,
he was.
It was very nice from him. I think he put up a real damn solid fight against Bunny. But Bunny, he let that second game slip. For sure, and I think it was mainly on him letting it slip. But Gumiho, he's tricky to play against, man. And I think overall, you could feel like Bunny took that one and was like, okay, I didn't play super bad. I'm actually going to get better from that. And that third game, he started doing everything really damn good. He brought the pressure straight away, made Gumiho feel uncomfortable, didn't let him play his game, didn't let him dictate the pace. And then he was just like, you know what, even if I take a little bit of damage here and there, as long as I'm defending and getting the container, making his life a misery, I'm doing well.
All right, we'll get into the next one then. Let's take a look at the verses between Creator and DRG. Will it be a Bobby Dazzler? Will it be a Barn Burner? Will it be a Slobber Knocker? We're about to find out. It's going to be Creator going up against DRG. You've got to feel a little bit for Creator in the matches that he's had to have so far here. Pig, he's had to go up in the previous bracket, up against Maru and then Dark, going up against an insane Cure in the first round of this stage 2, and now he's got to play against DRG. So I feel like Creator's probably got a decent chance here, but he's had such a tough road in all these brackets.
If there's one thing Creator's good at evoking in all of us fans of StarCraft, it's pain. We all get to feel his pain, you know, vicariously through him, whether it be just barely losing matches in uncomfortable ways or getting matched with these awful brackets. Definitely Dongray Gu is a player. He has a much better shot verse, and I do expect a dynamic of him really trying to make no mistakes and turtle up and defend everything. But Dongray Gu has a history of surprising him with some really clever timing attacks.
Yes, he does. Got to be a scary guy to go up against. Don't want to be going up against him in a knife fight. But Ben, what do you think coming into this match, huh?
I mean, I think I favor Domragu. I just feel like mechanically he's super damn solid, especially when he's on point. And I think ZVP as well isn't one that I'm like... It's not one that I've felt that Domragu's had a lot of trouble with. Like, as long as he's doing what he does, having lots of units here, there, and everywhere, I feel he can make people feel very much under pressure. And again, I have to talk about Creator's emotion level, because we do know he's an emotional guy. If he's feeling like, oh, I'm just getting beat up by everyone, I think that can start really kind of leaning on you a little bit. And just that creeping voice at the back of your mind, and it's like, oh, I'm up against a legend like Domragu. Like, he's definitely going to be feeling the pressure.
It's going to be Gresvan, Royal Blood, and Dragon Scales if we need it. Pig, anything to extrapolate from this?
Creator wants big maps, Dongray Gu wants small maps, and that is not too surprising because Dongray Gu wants to get across there. Definitely not averse to a Queen Walk, a big surprising, you know, Roach Ling Flood, Ling's trying to cancel the third base. Anything to disrupt a Creator who is very likely to open Oracles into a quick third base. So defense for the Protoss and all about catching him off guard for the Zerg. Once you start messing up his build, that's where you can start doing all the clever tech switches as Zerg, right? Swap into muters, do one timing attack that flows into another. That's exactly what Dongray Gu's goals are.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Time to head over to the commentators here to bring you this best of 3. Again, the winner moves on to a qualification match, and the loser is eliminated completely and will not get a chance at going to Gamers 8. Let's go over to the commentators.
Thank you, James. Happy to be casting with my good bloke here, Wardy.
You good bloke. I love how I was like, I felt like I was about to be your boy, but then I was like, no, what? He's not my boy. He's my good bloke.
He's my good bloke. I had to Google some English slang. I realized it's 3 UK people here right now, so.
yeah, there's lots of UK going on, you know. So
Very cool.
yeah, I mean, you killed a cat. Completely great usage of the word bloke. Very happy.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. Do you reckon someone's gonna get plastered here?
Plastered? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna quite get plastered. Usually that's when you drink a bit too much. But,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah. But I mean, maybe after the series, if it goes too badly wrong, then maybe someone will go and get plastered.
All right. Well, plastered
it's funny.
sounded like a stomp of some kind. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was like a gamer term, it would definitely kind of mean that. But I think in British slang, unfortunately, it's not built around gaming culture.
What a shame. What a shame indeed. But this should be a great match, Wardicio. Very exciting to be casting with you today. And yeah, do you have any favorite here?
I actually kind of like Creator, man. I really feel like we've seen a lot of good PvZ from him. I feel like DRG's been a little bit less impressive, but it's one of the matchups that I think on paper, realistically, it goes either way. You know, there's no kind of player who is meant to win this one.
Indeed. All right, well, we are loaded into the game and spawning in the top left-hand side of Gresvan. It is Creator.
Down in the bottom right-hand corner of our map, our blue Zerg player is DRG.
That he is. Looking for a 17 hatchery. It's gonna get blocked, so yeah, pretty standard stuff here from DRG. He sent his drone out early enough that he can kind of just reroute if he sees the probe. So this is more or less a normal 16 hatch, not uncommon either. And DRG is gonna go to 18, drop a gas, and then rally the next drone to make a pull, presumably. Actually, 19. Okay.
Wow. The greed.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely wild. Do you think Creator is just going to open some Stargates and Oracles as well? Is that kind of how you see Creator in this matchup? I know it's something he does a lot. Is that kind of like his go-to?
I would say so. I mean, in the Void Ray era, he was really doing some wonky stuff, but ever since, I think he's kind of settled for a little bit more standard play in this matchup, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Like, he's definitely kind of become accustomed to kind of aiming for the later game, and even if he gets into a good spot a lot of the time, it's almost always him. I feel like I see Creator at like the 15-20 minute marker all of the time nowadays, right? Like, he just gets to those later points and is generally just kind of trying to be as, you know, passive as possible up until then. Like a little bit of aggression, not super passive, I guess, but, you know, generally just not super eager to end the game, I guess.
I love how in the side chat the Muslims tell me what to not ever say. It's like, like, okay, like I'll try my best, I guess. I don't think I would have ever said that, Ben, and I don't know what it means. But yeah, now the chances of me saying it have definitely improved. Jeez, why do people do this to me?
I just. You're just exploring the British language. It's not really a safe thing to explore, I guess.
I suppose so. It reminds me of the time that Roddy baited me into shouting out Red Bull in the Monster broadcast.
You don't have a good you don't have a good track record on that one, do you?
Not really. No. One of the worst. But yeah, we have a hatchery now coming down. The Adept is going to go on forward. And of course, part of the charm, I suppose, of blocking the natural expansion for the Protoss is that you do get this extra room for the Adept to maneuver. And it's harder for the Zerg to position links and queens accordingly. But DRG has done a wonderful job with just 3 links in the main and a couple of links in the natural.
Yeah, no, he's doing a pretty decent job of just holding out and being defensive and just not letting anything happen just yet, because, you know, at the end of the day, these things can happen very quickly sometimes, so gotta be careful as Adept doesn't find the drone. Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, really nice. Unfortunate for DRG, right, that the drone, I mean, he could have microed that drone away, but instead he just kind of clicked on the minerals, and unfortunately it shuffled to the wrong end of things for him. Otherwise, it was a pretty good surround on the Adepts because, you know, otherwise they do so much more damage if they can continue to move. So it was nice for him to turn around the drones, get the surround, and get the DPS out early, but ends up losing maybe one more than he would have liked. And there is a Void Ray follow-up, actually, to this from Creator, which I kind of like.
Yeah, very, very different to the norm nowadays. I feel like if we do see a Void Ray, it's usually like one Void Ray to start into the Oracles, but yeah, into a Void Ray on a follow-up. I'm kind of intrigued as to what else there is going to be. He's just going to follow it with another Oracle, so just going to use this Void Ray to clean out some early Overlords and take some vision away from DRG.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like it too for defense in a weird way. Obviously, it's not nearly as effective at killing Zerglings as the Oracle is, but it doesn't run out of energy, right? So the nice thing about this is, like, with the Oracle, you can kind of bait the Oracle out of position, force it to turn its beam on, then come back with the Lynx, right, and just run around circles. With the Void Ray, you can't really do that if it's sitting in the right position, because so you need a much greater commitment of Zerglings if you want to break through, basically, because the Void Ray will just work through them. The Overlord gets spotted, but Creator didn't go for it right away, instead just killing the creep tumors. Seems like a sensible decision now.
Yeah, seems pretty decent. Yeah, I like what you say about the defense, obviously, because I think a lot of the time as well, the Void Ray, when you're playing against someone like DRG, who yesterday showed us a lot of aggressive timings, that Void Ray can be something extra for you to kind of stand behind, especially if you just don't get the immediate scout on the attack. It may just be the difference of you being able to hold on a little bit for a little while, and maybe then being able to be okay. So I don't mind it in that regard either, as a few Adepts will come forward and they're going to try and put some damage onto some of these Queens, even the Void Ray coming back in, and that first Queen is going to go down, so nice grab.
Yeah, great job there from Creator, and this we were already putting in a decent amount of work, and there was the third Oracle, I believe, produced from Creator on the back end of that. Two of them now out on the map, or maybe it was just, no, there is the third one at third, I see. And he's going to continue to poke here, try to find openings. He knows where the majority of the Queens are, so he's going to find this one exposed, but he has to be careful because the weak Oracle was actually kind of in front. Now shuffles it to the back.
Yeah, just got to keep... You don't want the Oracle to be going down, obviously, so be a little bit careful with all of that. The Void Ray just poised up to the top. Yeah, the Queens still are going at that lair. They're like, no, don't you move into lair. No, bad lair. Oh, okay, maybe we're so quick. You guys...
I mean, that was 15% HP or so, right? Like, there is a universe where the Queens kill the lair, but it's a very unlikely one. I think we've seen something like that happen at some point in a pro game in the last 12 years. But yeah, even 15% HP out of the lair is quite a bit.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing which maybe it comes down to when those Zealot run-bys or warp-ins start later on. Adepts into the natural. Big thing is not just the damage they're going to do, but spotting the Spire is amazing information as well. So that's a pretty fantastic start, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the other thing that the Void Ray does as well, is it discourages Zerg aggression early on, like you were saying, right? Like, it's not just nice to have for the aggression, but just showing it makes it so that the Zerg doesn't want to be aggressive, because you don't want to be aggressive without, like, say, a Queen drop or some sort of anti-air rushing Hydras or something of the sort. So the Spire helps in that regard, and unfortunately for DRG, it's been spotted, like you said, and that's kind of like the most important thing about Spires, is the surprise element in this matchup in particular, because they're not super common this early.
And Creator's just killing it. No, he's just killed so many drones throughout this now. He's going to come over here and didn't... Okay, he just about got one. Maybe it should have been two, but like, he's done so much damage, and it's reflected in the supply. And I know DRG's got the Spire, and maybe you're saving up a little bit of money to build, you know, everything all at once right now. But I just don't even know if the money in the bank really makes up for the supply gap that was there. Yeah, he's still got 600 gases. Now he levels it out, but he's leveling the supply out with roaches, which we always talk about. You know, they're very inflating of the supply. So I don't know, man. I just don't like this at all for DRG. He's taking a lot of damage. Creator's getting comfortable. Fourth base coming up. The Spire built, but never really utilized. And this Observer just double checking on things through the bases once again.
Yeah, it definitely looks a little bit rough. I mean, the Creator is going to give him a little bit of breathing room. He is adding a second Robo, as well as now Archons. So we're going to have basically Immortal Archon as the base of his army composition, or the backbone, I guess, with Zealots just kind of tanking the front. And that looks wonderful against Roaches, right? Like, when you have double Robo Immortal production potentially into Disruptors, I mean, DRG is going to struggle to close this game out anytime soon. And if you don't, then, you know, you're kind of just pretty basic as far as your tech options are concerned heading into the later game.
Burrow Tunneling Claws is just like, it's something, but you know, that's not the tech I want to see coming online. right now, as you do see how Roach is going to come across and grab themselves an Archon to start out with. We're going to go after a battery, a cannon here as well. I mean, this is a nice attack in, but then how many of these Roaches are going to get out? The Zealots are quick to get on top of them. The Oracles are dealing damage, and if the Zealots get charged back or just a couple force fields, it's going to be an amazing grab. Creator getting a full wrap around there. Now Roach is up the right side, going to go after a cannon. Void Ray, in this scenario, Void Ray is amazing just to add some damage out throughout as well, and another good force field.
Jeez, units lost, please bring it up. Or don't, it's gonna be nasty. It's already double here on the side of a creator that had a very good start, and that's not even accounting for how good his harassment went in the early game, right? Because drones are not that expensive, but they definitely mine so much throughout the game that if you take them down early, it's not gonna bode well for you. And now creator actually pushing him forward. I'm not sure that he needs to do that. He's gonna reconsider towards the tail end there. Your opponent's just going Roaches. You're definitely gonna outscale them, so I would say just hallucinate a Phoenix, make sure that they're not taking up to a Hive, something of the sorts, and relax and sit back. I guess he's nearly maxed, so it's not a bad place to try and go. And yeah, he's gonna do it. And I don't know how DRG holds this, Worthy Joe.
Yeah, I don't mind him attacking just in case, because what if Creator doesn't see what's being built and it's actually like a random mutas and Creator doesn't want to end up in that weird scenario, right? Maybe. I think it's not a bad place to go, because his army in theory should win right now based on whatever DRG has built, and that's what we're kind of seeing. There's a couple probes going down on the other side of the map, but these Immortals are pretty much untouched still. And DRG is not going to have a good time as they continue to shove their way through each and every Roach. And Creator is going to grab game number 1 pretty comfortably on the counter-attack, coming straight across and just saying, yeah, good defense for myself, good harassment early. And in a lot of ways, this is what DRG had problems with yesterday as well against Hero, where the early game just wasn't good enough. And so Hero just got ahead and said, okay, cool, now you die, or you're going to do an attack, which I can defend, and that's just game. And that's very much so what this game came down to as well, I feel.
Yeah, a little bit of a massacre, and it was kind of uninspired on the side of DRG. I don't even know if we ever saw the tunneling claws being used, right? He got the research, he got the burrow, but he didn't even use it, and it's hard to blame him because, I mean, all the tools were there for creator regardless, and nothing was kind of going DRG's way. So like you're saying, I think we need a cleaner early game. I think this Spire was kind of just the nail in the the last nail in the coffin, right? Because if that doesn't get spotted, then at least you have like a chance to make something happen where the game doesn't look brutal, where you seem like you had a plan and you seem like you had some shots at making something happen, but not to be this time around.
Just not the kind of game where, because it is scouted, you can afford that kind of like, oh, I build it, but I won't use it, because you took so much damage. You need everything you've got to go into whatever you're going to do. And it was very just kind of one way than the other from DRG. And in the end, Creator, just this army is insane. I mean, there's so many Immortals in here, a few Archons to provide some splash. It's just plentiful to be able to take everything out and just win this one out. So solid stuff from Creator. Kind of knew when he could attack. Just again, really good harassment to begin with. And I kind of feel like, you know, if you win a game like this as Creator, you've just got to look at game 2 and say, well, can I not just do more of the same? Because, you know, it wasn't anything special that I did, but like he has to improve his defense first before I even need to worry about like a later game plan almost.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, this was pretty basic, right? And on the flip side, if you are not going for the Stargate, if you're going for, say, Glaive Adepts or something like that, DRG was kind of like one of the best proponents of like how to stop exactly that. So I don't see why Creator would switch it up. Maybe the order of a Void Ray into Oracles or triple Oracle before Void Ray or no Void Ray at all, or some small variation, but otherwise, I don't think so. As yeah, we're loaded into the game. It's gonna be on Royal Blood. And then at the top right-hand side, it is my Sabu DRG.
In the bottom left with a 1-0 lead, he's had some tough draws in this event so far. But can he get himself to a qualifying match today? It is Creator.
Yeah. Okay, well, this hatchery is going to get blocked again. It's once again a 17 hatchery for a DRG, but yeah, this is kind of just the expected thing that most Cirque players are going to have to do against the hatch block. Not as common these days as it was once upon a time, but still pretty common. Would you say like 50% of the time or so, or maybe even more or less?
Hatch block?
Yeah.
I think a bit more than 50%, honestly. Like, I feel like most players try to do it. Usually, like, it's odd in a best of 3 if one game they don't hatch block, right? Or they don't try to. So, yeah, it's still very popular. It's something that it's kind of funny because I remember when it was first done, a lot of people were like, it's not that good and stuff. And, you know, not everyone kind of caught on to doing it straight away. And yet here it is still like so far down the line where it's like, oh, everyone's still kind of doing it. Turns out this one was pretty good to do.
Yeah, but there was a fad at some point about how maybe it's not beneficial because the Zerg gets that like creep spread launch pad basically, perhaps in the Queen era, in the Queen Walk era in particular, like that was like it kind of pulled back a little bit. Hearthstone called them enlightened Protoss, I think, when you don't do it. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely seen its ups and downs, but as a Zerg player, I've always despised it when they do it. So I try to go for 15 hatcheries and stuff like that just to try and avoid it on larger maps, but yeah, I hate it. I hate when it happens to me.
It's the sort of like it's like such an annoying thing where it's like, no, just let me play my game, man. I have the same when a probe shows up and nibbles my SCV build in the barracks side, bro. I can't stop your gateway building. Let me just have my barracks, you know, fair is fair. I don't want to have to micro my SCV. Give me the first minute of the game off.
Yeah, exactly, because like the SCV even has to waste so much mining time and stuff building the barracks, and on top of that it has to deal with harassment. But yeah, the first few links are gonna find the probe and shoot it away here. It's 4 circlings. Now DRG repositioning 3 of those to go back into his main, and the 3 to defend his natural. So this is kind of a nice split, a nice setup. Something that I'm gonna have to take a page out of for my own records, because I always struggle whenever they block my hatchery. The adepts just do too much. So 6 circlings is the DRG response, and for the most part it went okay last early game. Maybe if that one extra drone didn't fall, I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, I think so too, right? You know, 3 drones maybe a bit too many. 2's kind of fine, still maybe a little good for the pros, but not too end of the world. Really, the damage that was crazy last time around was just the Oracle zapping in every time. You know, 3 workers here, 4 workers there. Of course, none of that this game. Resonating Glaives from Creator, so a complete switch up from him. And DRG needs to be ready for that, because it's the kind of build which you die to if you don't have any preparations.
Absolutely, like another build that I really struggle with. But DRG, I mean, he is the authority on this build. He came up with a response that has been widespread and modified a little bit from time to time, but for the most part it's his, right? Like, he came back from the army, he saw this was going on a lot, and then he started going for a swell of links into a Roach Warren, well timed, and just kind of showed how to deal with this very effectively. And I mean, he should be able to, and that's a well-timed Roach Warren. Maybe like 10 seconds late, as he does spot the 2 adepts trying to go to the 3rd. But I believe in DRG to hold this one, Wardicio, and he has to do it.
He does have to do it, otherwise he is down and out. Glaives is just a few moments away from finishing, so Creator should be ready and soon to get moving to the other side. Of course, a few adepts still just dealing with the first Zerglings here, trying to keep those pinned back, trying to keep those from doing anything too meaningful. And we already have a few adepts across the map with the prism, so here we go, all set up and ready to try and get some damage.
Yeah, the DRG knows exactly what it is. There's going to be 12 links on the way. They're going to look for to chase the shades and prevent an annoying shade onto something like a ramp or something of the sorts. There's enough queens here at the front, and the Roach Warren is done, now producing roaches 4 at a time. Creator does have an economic lead, but if this attack is held, there is no 3rd inside, so then DRG can catapult himself back into that economic lead. He just needs to hold.
Yes, he does. Let's see if he can. As the 3rd base starts now from Creator, but you want to get something out of this, right? And obviously, the longer you can extend drones from being built, the better. If you can get in trade a little bit, that'd be nice. You actually decide to go in and take down a Roach immediately just on the front, turn around into that army. Prism tries to go to the main. That's where the Lings are at, so Prism will not get in there, but at least you've drawn the Lings out of the way, which has allowed you to pick the Roach off initially too.
Yeah, a lot of roaches actually in the main 2 now. There's like those 5 roaches or so. So DRG seems to be well prepared. Also a Spore that's gonna potentially fend off against the Warp Prism, but really more than that, it's in case there was a DT follow-up, right? Which can be pretty tricky to deal with.
Yeah, a couple of Lings come in, a couple of Depths getting lifted off. Spore Crawler coming to the back.
Yeah.
And zone that Prism out. I think it's nice, right? Because otherwise that Prism's going to keep on trying to get on in here, being annoying. So if you do have it, obviously just in case there's the DT follow-up as well, it's not a bad thing to have a Prism up and running, just, you know, to make sure you're as safe as possible based on other things that could hit you after.
Yeah, absolutely. And DRG deems it that he has defended this properly, and he definitely has. He didn't take any damage from those adepts, so he is now droning up. He drops his lair pre 6 minutes, now about to finish at 6:30. And he's just doing everything that he can to just kind of progress the game on forward. 5 gases at the same time as well, as Creator looks for his own transition in the Blink Stalkers. I personally struggle with things like Disruptors as a transition just because you've been forcing out so many roaches, but Creator doesn't seem to want to go for an all-in or use his base number of adepts too aggressively, but he has to suicide him at some point, and that point seems to be right meow, Ardicchio.
Right, meow it is. Dexter Adepts get set and we get ready to go. Super aggressive follow-up here from Creator as we head into the upper right side. Observer here to provide some detection against that creep spread. Of course, we're waiting for these walls to pop out, and they're just going to go straight onto the roaches. And this is going to be a group of Adepts that make their way forward. Shaden, and they could potentially go, but the Lings run by and they actually take mega damage. And man, DRG ain't prepped for this.
He ain't prepped for this. There is no AoE, there are no banelings, there's nothing like that. And the Immortals, I mean, they output so much damage against the roaches that are all otherwise very sturdy and helpful against those adepts. The Immortals do get abandoned here, which is a little bit surprising, so they will get taken down. But at what cost? There is so many drones dying, 28 already down. My Sabu, he's gonna die, Ardicchio. It's happening. I mean, this looks horrible now for DRG. Even if he cleans this up, 31 workers, a little bit too much to lose when Creator already has a third up and running too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was like, man, the Immortals, that's kind of a waste, but honestly, the Shaden was still good. He could have just had the Prism close to save the Immortals right if the Adepts were going to commit, but this is absolutely fine anyways. The damage is 100% done. The army supply is still good enough that Adepts are straight up fighting Roaches and Ravagers. That's not meant to be how this goes. And Creator, 20 minutes is all he needs to take down DRG. Just convincing PvZ from him. I mean, really just solid stuff. And I guess that's expected from a guy that gave Dark a run for his money last weekend as well. Creator will get another shot at a qualifying match here in the Gamers Without Borders.
Yeah, wonderful job from him. I mean, I loved what he did there with the Adepts as well. He didn't wait too long. Those Adepts fall out of favor so fast, right, in the game, but he had so many of them. And the follow-up with the Immortals, they kind of serve a similar purpose to what I was talking about with the Disruptors. They account for the Roaches so well. And DRG was kind of just, you know, he probably sees the third of Creator and he feels like he can drone up and he should be greedy to recover from that early game where he has to make so many units to make sure that he doesn't take any damage, and he did a good job there, but it just simply wasn't enough on the follow-up. The Immortals shred through the Roaches, and DRG a little bit underprepared, and yeah, no AoE to speak of.
No AoE to speak of. Pretty sure we can head on over the desk, see what they're thinking about this PvZ, and Creator advancing on.
That's right. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, I barely sat down to eat my food again. This happened yesterday. Jeez Louise. Oh, well, we have got ourselves Creator getting a pretty dominant win here over DRG. Pig and Ben joining me here. Pig, that was quick, and Creator was bringing some interesting stuff to the table.
Yeah, I mean, I said it was going to be just solid defense and DRG trying to catch him off guard. He wasn't able to catch him off guard with anything and didn't really even get a chance to get properly started. That game one was just really nice play. And it's interesting the way Creator opens because he's very flexible. Oracle into a Void Ray, into an Oracle. He's got a lot of scouting, but also it's hard to just do a lot of these kind of random attacks. And the Roaches did come in. They looked like they were finding a bit of damage, but Creator's defense was, he was damn solid.
Yeah, definitely so, Ben. When you look at the series now, I did expect DRG to put up a little bit more of a fight here, but not to be the case.
It was a bit of a weird series. Like, Creator just did things. Everything seemed to be working out pretty damn solidly for him.
Yeah.
Like, at one point earlier in this game one, Creator was just ahead in supply, which, you know, I don't often feel like Protoss are ahead in supply early game, but just everything that Creator did worked out for him. Like, especially in that second game where it's just like, you know what? I'm gonna have so many Adepts and just gonna go and kill you.
Yeah.
It was just one of those series that Dom Ragu, he was trying things, he was trying to survive, but just he could never get going. And Creator, honestly, for all the losses that he's had that have been I don't want to say like one-sided because he's put up a fight in most of his series. But yeah, he just looked like he was the better guy today. Absolutely did. I mean, this game here where the Immortals get left behind, for a second I was like, maybe, but then you just see the drone count on the left just absolutely plummeting. Like, that was literally in like 10 seconds, 28 drones falling. It was amazing.
I can't wait to see all the salty Zerg tears about Adept Printer go brrr for this one, because it was just, I haven't seen this many Adepts on a push like this for quite a while, Pig. This was brutal.
Yeah, Scarlet's out there watching. She's gonna have to bring out the old Adepted clan tag that she used to rock.
Yeah.
No Zerg enjoys having that happen. You know, the Adept, it's a pretty weak unit that doesn't scale all that well, but you give it that teleportation ability, the surprise as well, the way they just dart on in there. And Creator nabs himself a really nice timing. You could see, I think, the fear in game one as well of DRG, of Creator doing something like that, because he is quite unpredictable with those timing attacks. And when he's got you on the back foot, surprises you with the macro game, surprises you then also with the timing attack, that's basically his strategy is just working perfectly.
That means that Creator now has got himself in a qualification match, and he's going to be going up against either Ragnarok or Classic, depending on who is unfortunate in that qualification match. So that pretty much does it. Unfortunate for DRG here, Ben, but again, you know, we'll have to see him fight along down the road some other time. The cool thing about DRG is that he has been relevant for arguably one of the longest periods of time out of any StarCraft pro gamer ever. So we always see him rear his head and come back fighting. Yeah,
and it's not as if he got like one of these, oh no, I'm out because of this happened. No, he just went up against a very strong Creator today. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. Like, we've seen Creator, he's also been around since day one, basically, and he's had his ups and downs, but it's nice to see that he's just performing quite solidly across the board.
All right, well, thank you very much, gents. It's time to go to a break. When we return, qualification matches time. We've got 4 best of 5s coming your way, 2 from the Korean bracket and 2 from the world bracket. We'll see you after this for more Gamers Without Borders.